Oh, I think we're good.
We're on. All
Great,
right.
we're in. Yay. Okay.
Yay. All right.
Fantastic. Hello. Okay.
Hello, hello. So thank you so much for being
Yes.
here, Chrissy. And to all those who come and watch this video, we thank you. So I am Coach Carol from Beloved Marriage Coaching, and we are here because Chrissy has really transformed herself and her marriage. And I asked her, and she said yes to share in order to inspire other women who may not have the marriage of their dreams right now, that it's quite common that there's a lot of struggles, even in Catholic marriages. And I certainly struggled for a lot of years. And getting some support makes a big, big difference. And so I just want to invite Chrissy to share as much as you're willing to.
Okay.
Like what was it like before you got coaching, before you reached out for help?
I felt very overwhelmed with life, very anxious. I feel very thankful because my husband and I, for the most part, had a um, mutually kind of respectful relationship, and we worked through things. I mean, we had difficulty, but we always seemed to work through things fairly well. Um, but I noticed that the longer we were married, the more children we'd had, more stress that crept up. I just felt myself kind of the changing. And I know my husband had mentioned to me that he just kind of missed this like happy, bubbly Chrissy, and he didn't have that anymore. And so I kind of thought about that for a while and thought, where did she go? What's going on? I'd always wanted to be a mother. So I didn't know I'd have quite such a large family since I'm a convert to the faith. That was not something I thought anticipated when we were first married. We neither of us were Catholic, um, but I just knew that something kind of had to give. I was at this with after our last baby, who is preciously needy. I felt myself becoming very resentful of not necessarily even my immediate family, but externally, like towards friends, family, any requests outside of just the day to day felt so overwhelming. And um, I especially noticed that with my children and in our home, any messes that my kids created, which they're children, so they're going to make messes, and we have nine, so it's a lot. Was it was like it was too much. Like I was trying to control and prevent everything because that was the only way I thought I could handle our situation with this many people. And I didn't realize at the time how much I was even controlling my marriage. I wouldn't have seen myself in that role. But the more I tried to control things, it was like the worst things became. And it just reached kind of a point for me where a friend had mentioned, I I see this Coach Carol and she's fabulous. And I thought, okay, that's something I'm interested in. My husband had mentioned to me that he was kind of missing his light and sweet Chrissy, who was just kind of happy and kind of easygoing. And I thought, I want that back. I just don't know where to go from here. And that's when I finally was like, honey, I think I want to do this. And he was like, go for it. Absolutely. He's always been very supportive. Um, and that's one of those blessings I had. But I also knew like we've had struggles where I think I've often held back how my desires, my feelings, and tried to control that because I was afraid of um upsetting the balance, and so it's just like I was just like barely keeping an equilibrium. Everything was teetering, and with our ninth baby it just finally kind of started started to go downhill for me, emotionally, mentally. And joining Coach Carol, joining your community just changed that for me. It gave me a way of looking at the day-to-day um, emotions that would arise, and it helped me know how to reframe what I was thinking, and really lean into my faith, love the Lord, let him love me, love my family in the way that he loves me. And then love by extension the rest of my family, my friends, who that was the part that was really starting to, I felt my resentment bubbling up. And then I was sharing that with my husband. And then, of course, my husband's feeling that resentment. And I just realized I was bringing a lot of what felt like strife into our marriage I didn't want it to be there. And I didn't want that on my children either.
Mm.
So,
Mm. 9 children.
yeah.
Wow. And what you're saying is that like it didn't really, it really went down, I guess, with the ninth, but holy smokes, like you made it through all those.
Yes.
I had three and I was like, I did well with the three. I can't even imagine nine and all that you're managing. And so one of the things that you talked about when we first started was a lot of mom guilt,
Yes.
a lot of mom guilt and struggling to have boundaries for yourself to honor you and your faith and your husband. So can you speak a little bit about how that has changed?
Yes. So I think when people talk about self-care, I always saw that as selfish. So the way you talk about it as soul care really resonated with me because it finally helped me see that it is beautiful to take care of myself in order to love my family well, in order to show up in a way that truly blossoms in our home, as opposed to, I literally felt like I couldn't be the mom I longed to be in my heart, um, because I was constantly looking either forward and trying to anticipate every possible thing that could go wrong. And then I was looking back thinking, gosh, I did all these things wrong. I wish I would have done all these things differently. Especially, we homeschool. So there's all these components that were around each other all the time. My husband works from home. So although he has a separate location like on our property that he can work from, it's still we're just around each other a lot. And so there wasn't a lot of separation for me. And I wasn't really taking the time to sit with God, um, and let him minister to me and kind of speak to me, let the Holy Spirit guide me. And that is what I think opening myself up to joining your community has helped me do, is it's like, okay, this is a beautiful thing to truly rest in God, to truly sit, definitely working through my feelings, because so many feelings would crop up and I would push them down. I would feel this guilt, but I was like, well, the Lord is faithful. Like I was raised in a home that I really did trust the Lord. And so I thought, well, if I feel that way, then I'm not trusting him. So I have to push it down. I can't feel that way. And you've really helped me see that that's just feelings. You can feel those feelings. You can address them. And I no longer have this fear that the feelings will overtake me. That was, I think, part of it too, was there was those moments where I was just kind of spiraling. And I was like, if I give in to these feelings, I'm just going to sink, or I'm going to live in this victimhood, and I don't want to do that either. And so recognizing that no, feelings are this beautiful way that we kind of connect with, I feel like, our human nature that God has given us, and to lean into that, but to trust God that he's walking with us through those emotions. He's right there. Um, so that it's helped me in those moments with my children where my oldest will be 14 soon. So we're kind of in that middle school preteen. A lot of, my daughter, same, going through those bigger emotions and those changes. And it was starting to bring up a lot of anxiety for me because I didn't have a lot of guidance during that age when I was a child. And I didn't know how to handle it now. And I was scared of the emotions that it was bringing up. And now it's been this beautiful opportunity to like walk alongside my children. It's almost like I get to experience this age in a beautiful new way, because I get to kind of be what I had hoped I would have experienced, or what my parents how they would have handled it a little differently. But I also get to love my parents through that too, because knowing how difficult it is for me, I can only imagine also how they had felt, so it's helped me not have resentment towards my family. But it's allowing me to really address the things that this is difficult. This is hard. This is something where you have no frame of reference for how to move forward necessarily. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. So I hear you being able to really respect your parents, that they did
Yes.
the best they could. And so, like, what I'm hearing also is like you're choosing thoughts that empower you. So rather than choosing thoughts of like, like you said at first, like you started to feel bad about and like you judge what you've done or fearful of like, oh, did I do all that wrong? I'm homeschooling 9 children, like
Yeah.
all of that. So could be a lot of judgment and shame. And now you're out of that. Now you're sort of like, okay, like I can choose my thoughts and I can move forward so that you're responding rather than reacting. And
Yes.
that emotional maturity piece that we talk about, where you're able to process your emotions, pushing them down, all is like I talk about a beach ball analogy, right? When you keep pushing it down, it's going to keep popping up. And eventually
Mhm.
it will manifest in some sort of illness or migraines or something. And so by allowing them, because God gave us all the emotions, all of them, and we get
So
to, I love
many,
you said that.
so
I
many
get
emotions.
to, right? We get to feel them all. You
Yes.
get to experience all these wonderful children through every age. And so what I hear even is like a woman who's empowered to really enjoy the ride and like enjoy life instead of coming from fear. Like you're really choosing your faith in all of this. It's beautiful.
Yes. It's helped me feel like I'm no longer alone, kind of in this vast ocean of
Yeah.
where we did an exercise at one point where we were, closed our eyes and we're trying to envision our thoughts and the shape and all that stuff. And I just remember feeling kind of like this, like I was in outer space and this vast, like everything felt like deadly, like where if I do anything to cause a disturbance, it was going to be detrimental to the whole, like the house of cards would fall, that sort of thing. And I just felt heavy, and I was feeling that when I would get up, like there wasn't a lot of, you know, I just didn't have a lightness to myself anymore. I had soreness and pain, and that
Mhm.
still comes with nursing and all, sleeping wonky. But I wake up and I'm I look forward to the day the Lord is going to give me. I look forward to just witnessing the creativity of my children rather than fearing the mess that they're going to make. Because my kids right now, they are building a not even life size, it's bigger than that, cardboard space marine. And it is taking over. It doesn't even fit in a regular room anymore. It's so tall, and they love it. It's like and to me, as before, I would literally seeing all I would see all the cardboard pieces, and I couldn't get past it. Like I couldn't get past, I was seeing everything. And now I feel like I'm actually like looking at what matters, as opposed to all of these little things that are scattered everywhere that they just don't matter anymore. It's like, okay, this is what mattered to me. And I remember talking to you about that. I want to live in the present. I want to appreciate the here and now. Um, and God has been so faithful through this process to like really help me. But it is hard. It's hard when you're in it to think and especially because I thought I was doing things to address it. I really did. I thought I was like, okay, I took digital fasts. I got rid of social media. I did all these things that I really helped, I think, got rid of distraction, because that's a huge thing for me is, I think I tend to avoid by using distraction. But that I think that was the other part of it is I was like, okay, all the distractions are gone. Now I'm really sitting with everything and I didn't know where to go. And so when my friend mentioned your community and you, I was like, okay, I think this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And
The next steps.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm so
So, the,
grateful.
the other day you were telling me about the watercolor paint on the wall
Yes.
and what that would have done to you in the past, right? You had gone out shopping, and I think the kids, the older ones, were watching the little ones.
Yeah.
Tell us about what happened when you came home.
So I look on the wall as I'm coming through and I see watercolor, this blue on our white wall, blue watercolor on, and I was like, huh, I wonder all I thought was like they had so much fun watercoloring. Instead of like, oh, I have to clean that up. Is that going to stain? Like it was like, I wonder, and I wanted to see what they'd colored. Like I was so excited to see what had come out of that fun little, it was such a special moment for me because it finally felt like this was not going to be it wasn't permanent, like it's hard to sorry,
No, you're
postpartum,
fine.
it's a little hard for me to
You're
find the
doing
words
great.
sometimes, but for so long everything that everything that was messy or kids eat, we vacuum constantly in our home, but it was like it always just felt like, okay, I'm doing this thing again over and over and over. There was never going to be an end to it, and there's not. Those things I am going to have to vacuum and vacuum, but for the first time in a long time it was like there was a separation where I enjoyed looking at that and thinking I will get to clean that later. And there's like a purpose behind my cleaning, and it's like a love behind the things that I'm doing for my family. Um, there wasn't this sense of like constant obligation. It was like a joy to think I get to clean that up later. But there wasn't an urgency either. There was just, I just appreciated it for that moment. And I still haven't cleaned it up. It's still there. My daughter wiped it a little, but it's still there. And I'm like, I'll get to it if I get to it. Those baseboards aren't too important right now,
What
but
a transformation from
yeah,
before needing
yeah,
things to be, perfect and being exhausted
yes,
and got to do it all and kind of crazy
yeah,
mom syndrome to
yes,
now you're
crazy.
able to really shift to be like, oh, I wonder what fun they had. Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow. So I imagine you're feeling a whole lot more peace versus the exhaustion that you were living in before.
yes. It's been so beautiful. Even my relationships have changed. Um, so with my husband, I'm just witnessing him kind of stepping into his own. He's doing all these different house projects. He's doing our finances. He's really just taking on all of these things that are stressful because they're newer to him, but he's doing it in such a way where I can see that confidence, like where he knows I just support him. I'm proud of him. He could do it, and I don't need to, I'm not, he hasn't coming to me and asking me all the time what I think. He's just really, and that to me is one of the things I've longed for in our marriage is I've always wanted my husband to feel like he is the head of our home, and that I trust him to make those decisions because it really takes the pressure off of me. I think there was so much pressure to do all of the things all the time. We have a daughter who has type 1 diabetes, and so between handling her health and all the insurance and doctors and ordering equipment, and all that stuff, I just took it on myself to like try to eliminate as much additional pressure on my husband as I could, and not really trusting that he could handle what he can. And I didn't realize how little faith that kind of showed. I don't think he necessarily felt that way, but when I step back and look at it now, I'm like, wow, I was really not trusting him, allowing him to be the incredible man I married, because that's why I married him. He is capable. I was always so impressed with that. Um, but then within my friendships, more recently, I realized that I have a friend who I hadn't really been very authentic with or honest about how I felt when certain topics would be brought up. And I realized I was resentful of having conversations with her because I wasn't being honest. And so I I didn't really want to spend time anymore. And I had to sit with that and think, why is this? This is somebody I've always had a closeness to. I've always loved. Why would that change so much? And once I recognized that, it really helped me step into my relationships with not only her, but with other people in a way where I'm like, I truly want to just bring my most authentic self to everyone. And um, I think I still want to be empathetic, but I also just want to be honest. And for so long, I think I held back to some extent, um, because I was afraid of how someone else would behave, or someone how what they would think of me. Or and now I don't worry about that. I really trust the Lord and trust them that, that is, we talk about things that are on someone else's paper, like, I've really learned to let that be the case, where it's like, I want that same, I would hope my friends would trust me as well, so I want to trust them with
Mm,
my heart, with my thoughts.
mm,
Um, and even if the conversation turned and it didn't, there wasn't necessarily this beautiful resolve at the end, or we didn't agree, or even if it kind of fractured things, I could trust God that in that moment, He is right there. And that it's not the end all, it's not the end. Or
mm.
um, so
Yeah.
that's where I think is sorry, I'm getting kind of off on a tangent,
No.
but that was
So what I hear you saying is that like you are kind of mastering what maybe the old people pleasing habits, which had
Mhm.
a lot of control in it, trying to control what they were thinking. And then you're not being authentically you. So you're
Mhm.
not really being honest. And so you're really not even respecting yourself. You're not respecting your own opinions, right? You're putting it aside in order to please somebody else. Right. So like that's a
Yeah.
big step. I know that you learned. And then also as far as like even with your husband, that often we don't even realize that we're disempowering our men when we just do everything and we don't
Right.
let them. We don't even think about that we're sending a message that
Oh,
we don't trust them because we kind of figure, well, I'll just do it. I can do it. And then we are exhausted and frazzled and
right.
and so your man has wanted to step up the whole time. And so what I'm guessing then is that as he has stepped up, he's feeling more successful. And then you've got more intimacy, more connection, and less arguments between the two of you as well, right? More peace in your home.
Yes. There's so the peace I have, especially, when he comes from work and he's had a rough day at work or something, it's like I am allowing him to feel what he feels too. I'm not relying on him to make me happy. I'm not relying on his feelings to um determine how my day goes. If he would wake up stressed out, not having slept, and he would leave for work upset or something, I am able to know it's not a reflection on me. That's not about me in any way. Um, or if it is, trust that, that we will have a conversation about that at some point, that it will, I pray, hopefully come up. But it's something where it really has helped me just enter into my day, and in a way that I feel like I just show up so differently to my family, to my kids especially. There was a moment I had a couple weeks ago where my oldest and we tend to butt heads, or we had in the past quite a bit. And I realized, as I was starting to get snippy and cranky and judgmental, right? Because I was like, why did you do that again? And I realized in that moment, I was like, how do I feel when someone treats me that way? And it was such a it was such a transformative moment for me, because it literally was just like, if I would be my heart would be broken if my husband was pointing out all the things I did wrong, all day. And that's what I was realizing I was doing with my children, as they were like, well, this is out and this is out. And, like, why didn't you pick up that? I asked you to do this. You didn't do this. There is some amount of like, I have to guide them through their, and help them grow into these skills and things. But at the same time, it's like, how do I do that in a way that brings connection to us, as opposed to just constantly fracturing that relationship? And I feel like that was a moment when the Holy Spirit really made clear to me what I was doing.
Yeah, you were convicted about it. And what
Yeah.
I hear, what's happening is like you're untying the knots. Those knots
Yeah.
of where we think that our husband's responsible for our happiness and that or that I got to fix his mood and we're all off our paper over there doing everything with everybody. And even with your daughter, your oldest, you said that basically you got back on your paper and like, wait a minute, how would I feel if I was talking to myself this way? It's like, oh, ouch. Yeah, I don't want to do that. And so the empowerment comes too, and when you're starting to ask yourself, who do I want to be? Who is Chrissy? And that through self-care, like I think that you've been able to rediscover your happiness. You're having
Mhm.
more fun. You're filling your cup, like going to the well, so that you're able
Mhm.
to give more, have more patience, be able to self-reflect, and intentionally choose the thoughts that you want to think so that you show up the way you want to. So that instead
Yeah.
of being on like an unintentional autopilot mode, no, no,
Mhm.
no. You are much more intentional. This is who Chrissy is. This is how I'm showing up.
Yeah.
And by continuing on with this work, that you're able to just, instead of doing all this with your emotions, right? Instead, now you're kind of doing this and you become a
Yeah.
safe place and everything's healing and your marriage is better and the kids and
It's been
yay, yay,
it's been
yay,
beautiful.
yay.
I'm so grateful. I just
Yeah.
yes, this and being able to one of the big things, I'll say this as maybe a final thing if we're needing to wrap up, but
Yeah.
this for me, I knew I needed my Catholic faith to be a component for me to really heal and understand what's going on because so much of our faith it it's so integral to like the choices we make, how we live our life, having a large family, homeschooling. And not everyone understands that. And that's okay to me. But I knew for me it was like that um I won't let those things go, right? Those have to remain um a part of our life. And so I was like, how do I address this? While also maintaining my convictions to my faith. And so that's why this has been so powerful to me because it in no way have I ever felt like that is had to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm so sorry. It's so hard for me sometimes to find um I that has been at the forefront. Like we start our sessions with prayer. So we are always entering into I feel like what the Lord is calling us to in this work. And that is incredibly powerful. And I think that is the part that I didn't have for so long. And I was kind of waiting for it. I'm sure other things maybe could have helped me here and helped me there. I probably didn't need to go as long as I did without seeking help, but I hope that other wives who hear this, other moms who maybe hear this, um, can hear that part of it is that um, this community and the work that we do in ourselves, it's so powerful. And when the Catholic faith that we have is kept at the forefront, it can transform us. The Lord loves us so much. He loves our families so much. He longs to have us feel healthy and whole. And um, that's where I feel like the Lord, it's not going to be perfect. I know that I'm going to have moments where I'm still, I'm always growing. There will be the only perfect person is the Lord, but I know um that he will carry me. He will be alongside me the entire time. And I
Yes.
really feel like I can rest in that.
Yes, he's the
So,
divine physician and he is the
right.
one, right? And so
Yes.
he is, and he's healing lots of marriages and even just transforming women because we do have so much, we are the heart of the home. And if we're off, the whole house is off.
Yeah.
And so the
So
more
true.
that we can work on ourselves and really transform ourselves and really to learn how to love the way that we really are called to be to glorify God, it just it's like ripples through the whole house and we see
Yes.
relationships healing and even in an extended family. So thank you so much, Chrissy, for all that you've shared. And
Thank
any woman
you.
that watches this, right, that maybe is thinking, gee, maybe I could get some help, right? Because you can take the slow road kind of on your own, right?
Right.
But honestly, having a coach does make a huge difference. I never could have saved my own marriage. that we were separated and heading for divorce until I was able to get support from a coach. And so
Mhm.
if if anybody's interested in that, you can go to my website at createmyhappymarriage.com, and there's a little button at the top that says to request a free relationship assessment call, and we can explore if working together is a fit or not. There's also loads of content on my YouTube videos in the channel. So if there's something, in fact, the one coming out tomorrow is all about faith over fear. And so,
That's beautiful.
I have a goal of 1,000 subscribers, so I hope lots of people subscribe to the channel. And just know that we are standing for marriages, and that to me, it's a huge crime that Catholic marriages end just as often as every other marriage out there. And really, it doesn't have to. If when a woman can change, and I know some people argue about this, that you got to have both people in it to, yes, you're both in it, but if one person changes, it can dramatically change the entire
Oh,
relationship.
it's
And
true.
so don't not get help because you think, well, he won't go to counseling, so I'm not going. I'm not going to get any support either. He has to go first. No, 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 right? Get the support. Come on in, get a call, and let's see if we can transform things. Is there anything else that you want to say, Chrissy, in closing, like as a message to women? Like, what do you want them to know?
I would I would say to trust that that inner voice that you maybe feel. Um, so I just felt like I was spiraling, right? That's how I felt. I felt for a long time, and I would try all these different things, and it would kept coming back. It kept coming back, and so just really trust that voice that um, you are worth it. Your family is worth it. It it isn't selfish. That's what I want. It's not selfish. It's this beautiful gift that you offer your family when you understand and work on your interior life, and you better understand yourself so that you can transform your family, your marriage. I can't express that enough. It really, the Holy Spirit is so faithful. The Lord is so faithful. So trust him, and you can do it.
Awesome. Well, right. All praise to God. So thank you,
Amen.
thank you, thank you, Chrissy, for your courage, your vulnerability, and to your husband for his willingness for you to share here.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you so much. All right. God bless you. I'm gonna see if I can turn